Hey, Mike.
Hare Krishna.
Let's see if I can put you on a different speaker here because be a little clearer. How's it going?
Oh, not too bad. How about yourself today?
Pretty good. I bet you it's kind of rainy out, but I bet it's not as much rain as Maitreya is getting.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. Video settings. Say something. Hare Krishna.
How's the speaker working? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, there you go. It works now. Okay, let me try to pull up the share screen here. I don't know if we left off on 41, I believe. Oh, wait a minute. Did we do 41?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good verse. I love this verse. Go ahead and read the Sanskrit.
Sure. Yavasa atmikam budhir eka kuru nandana bahu shankya he anashcha budhayo yavasayanam. Synonyms. Yavasaya atmika, resolute in Krishna consciousness. Buddhi, intelligence. Eka, only one. Iha, in this world. Kuru Nandana, O beloved child of the Kurus. Bahu, Shankha, having various branches. He, indeed. Ananta, unlimited. Cha, also. Budhaya, intelligence. Avyavasayanam, of those who are not in Krishna consciousness. Translation. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched.
Purport. We'll take turns reading purports or paragraphs. The strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyavisaitma intelligence. Vyavisaitmika. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 2262 states, Shraddha Sabde Vishvas Kahe Surida Nishaya, Krishna Bhakti Kaila Sarva Karma Kritahaya. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. When one engages in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relation to the material world with obligations to family, traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruitive engagements are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he no longer need endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, and they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. Go ahead.
The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. Vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma surdulabha. A person in Krishna consciousness is the rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva, or Krishna, is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water to the leaves and branches, so by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied.
Yeah, it's just like one-stop shopping, Krishna consciousness. You have Walmart or Amazon, you get everything there. So if you water the root of the tree, then the whole tree is nourished. So you only have to do one thing, and that's surrender. Service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practiced under the able guidance of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of the student, and who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. As such, To be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and one should accept the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur instructs us in his famous prayers for the spiritual master. These are really powerful prayers. So we used to sing these actually they still do sing these prayers, four of them. There's 10 prayers altogether in this Guru Vastakam, or not the Guru Vastakam, whatever it is. This is the Guru Vastakam. Yasya Prasadam Bhagavat Prasada. Yasya Prasada Nagati Katopi. Dayanstuvam Tasya Yasastri Sandhyam Bande Garosi Charanarabindam. I was thinking of the other Sri Guru Charana Padma. Have you ever heard that song?
Oh, yeah.
By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day and offer my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master. 3 times a day means like, in the morning, noon, and evening, you chant your Gayatri mantra if you're initiated twice. Go ahead and read the last paragraph and then read the, I guess we'll take turns with the text too, because since there's only 3 of them. Just go ahead and read the last sentence there.
The whole process, however, depends on perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body, not theoretically, but practically, when there is no longer a chance for sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities. One who is not firmly fixed in mind is diverted by various types of fruitive acts. Want me to keep going?
Yeah. Oh, wait. I'll read the Sanskrit. I guess we'll just take turns. Yamimam pushpitam bacham pravadanti avipaschita Vedavarata parta nanyad astiti vadina kamatmana svarga para janma karma phalapadan kriya vishesha bahulam bogaishvarya gatim prati. Synonyms. Mam imam, all these pushpitam flowery vacham words, pravadanti say, avipaschita, men with a poor fund of knowledge, Vedavarata, supposed followers of the Vedas, Parta o Sanaprita, na, never, yat, anything else, asti, there is, iti, thus, Vadina, the advocates, kama atmana, desirous of sense gratification, svarga para, aiming to achieve heavenly planets, jama karma phalapradam, resulting in good birth and other fruitive reactions, kriya of vishesha, pompous ceremonies, bahulam, various boga, and sense enjoyment, aishvarya, and opulence, gatim, progress, prati, toward. Translation: men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to the heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say there is nothing more than this. Good.
Purport. People in general are not very intelligent, and due to their ignorance, they are most attached to the fruitive activities recommended in the Karmakanda portions of the Vedas. They do not want anything more than sense gratifactory proposals for enjoying life in heaven, where wine and women are available, and material opulence is very common. In the Vedas, many sacrifices are recommended for elevation to the heavenly planets, especially the Jayotistoma sacrifices. In fact, it is stated that anyone desiring elevation to heavenly planets must perform these sacrifices, and men with a poor fund of knowledge think that this is the whole purpose of Vedic wisdom. It is very difficult for inexperienced persons to be situated in the determined action of Krishna consciousness. As fools are attached to the flowers of poisonous trees without knowing the results of such attractions, unenlightened men are similarly attracted by heavenly opulence and the sense enjoyment thereof.
Yeah, there's actually a verse in the Gita that says, for those who are bewildered by sense enjoyment, the resolute determination of devotional service does not take place. In the Karmakanda section of the Vedas, it is said, apama shomam amrita abhuma and asakyam havai chaturmasya yagnai sukritam bhavati. In other words, those who perform the 4-month penance become eligible to drink the somaras beverages to become immortal and happy forever. Even on this earth, some are very eager to have somaras to become strong and fit to enjoy sense gratifications. Such persons have no faith in liberation from material bondage, and they are very much attached to the pompous ceremonies of Vedic sacrifices. They are generally sensual, and they do not want anything other than the heavenly pleasures of life. It is understood that there are gardens called Nandana Kanana, in which there is good opportunity for association with angelic, beautiful women and having a profuse supply of somaras wine. Such bodily happiness is certainly sensual, and therefore there are those who are purely attached to such temporary material happiness as the lords of the material world. You can read the Sanskrit.
Bhogaishvara prasaktanam tayapatrta chetasam yavasyak mika buddhi samadao na vidhiyate. The translation.
Hold on a second. Maitreya just showed up. That's the verse I was talking about. It happened to be the next one. Arbon Maitreya.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's wet here. How wet is it in the West Coast?
It's the flood warnings have been downgraded. It's not raining as much.
Oh, as much. Okay. Yeah, we're just getting a little shower here. It's actually kind of warm. We have read 3, I think. We're on the 3rd verse. We started at 41. Now we're on 44.
Right.
And Mike is just reading the synonyms of 44 here. So go ahead, Mike.
Bhoga, to material enjoyment. Aishvarya, in opulence. Prasaktanam, for those who are attached. Taya, by such things. Apatrita, chetasam, bewildered in mind. Yavasya, atmika, fixed in determination. Buddhi, devotional service to the Lord. Samadho, in the controlled mind. Na, never. Vidhiyate, does take place. Translation. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place.
Go ahead, Maitreya, read the purport.
Samadhi means fixed mind. The Vedic dictionary, the Nirukti, says samyag adhiyate, smin atma tattva yatamayam. When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be in samadhi. Samadhi is never possible for persons interested in material sense enjoyment and bewildered by such temporary things. They are more or less condemned by the process of material energy.
Yeah, I've noticed that myself, in my 40 long year career as a devotee, because I was so attached to sense gratification, I never knew for decades what devotional service was, because you can't fix your mind on devotional service or the self. So therefore, I never really figured it out. I guess I'll read text 45 here. Trigunya Vishyaveda Nistrigunya Bavarjana Nirdvanvo Nityasatvashto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Synonyms. Trigunya, pertaining to the 3 modes of material nature. Vishya, on the subject matter. Veda, Vedic literatures. Nastrigunya, transcendental to the 3 modes of nature. Bhava, be. Arjuna, O Arjuna. Nirdvanva, without duality. Nityasatvashto, in a pure state of spiritual existence. Niryogshema, free from ideas of gain and protection. Atmavan, established in the self. Translation. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the 3 modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to all these 3 modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Go ahead and read the first paragraph, Mike.
Purport. All material activities involve actions and reactions in the 3 modes of material nature. They are meant for fruitive results which cause bondage in the material world. The Vedas deal mostly with fruitive activities to gradually elevate the general public from the field of sense gratification to a position on the transcendental plane. Arjuna, as a student and friend of Lord Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy, where, in the beginning, there is Brahma Jijnasa, or questions on the supreme transcendence. All the living entities who are in the material world are struggling very hard for existence. For them, the Lord, after creation of the material world, gave the Vedic wisdom advising how to live and get rid of the material entanglement. When the activities for sense gratification, namely the Karmakanda chapter, are finished, then the chance for spiritual realization is offered in the form of the Upanishads, which are different parts of the Vedas, as the Bhagavad-gītā is part of the fifth Veda, namely the Mahabharata. The Upanishads mark the beginning of transcendental life.
I guess it's my turn. As long as the material body exists, there are actions and reactions in the material modes. One has to learn tolerance in the face of dualities such as happiness and distress, and cold and warmth, and by tolerating such dualities, become free from anxieties regarding gain and loss. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness when one is fully dependent on the goodwill of Krishna. I'm going to read the Sanskrit, Maitreya.
Yavan artha udapane sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha. Yavan, all that, artha is meant, udapane, in a well of water, sarvata, in all respects, samplutodake, in a great reservoir of water, tavan, similarly, sarveshu, in all, vedeshu, Vedic literatures, brahmanasya, of the man who knows the supreme Brahman, vijanataha, who is in complete knowledge. Translation: all purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them.
Okay. Mike, you want to read the first paragraph?
Sure. Okay. Purport. The rituals and sacrifices mentioned in the Karmakanda division of the Vedic literatures are meant to encourage gradual development of self-realization. And the purpose of self-realization is clearly stated in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad-gītā, 15:15. The purpose of studying the Vedas is to know Lord Krishna, the primeval cause of everything. So self-realization means understanding Krishna and one's eternal relationship with him. The relationship of the living entities with Krishna is also mentioned in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā, 15:7. The living entities are parts and parcels of Krishna. Therefore, revival of Krishna consciousness by individual living entity is the highest perfectional stage of Vedic knowledge. This is confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:33-7 as follows. Aho bata sva pakoto garyan yasji varge vartate nama tubhyam tipuste paste juhuvu sanur arya pramanarchur nama gurnati yete. Oh my Lord.
Go ahead.
Keep going?
No, go ahead and read the translation as well.
Oh my Lord, a person who is chanting your holy name, although born of a low family like that of a chandal, a dog eater, is situated on the highest platform of self-realization. Such a person must have performed all kinds of penances and sacrifices according to Vedic rituals and studied the Vedic literatures many times after taking his bath in all the holy places of pilgrimage. Such a person is considered to be the best of the Aryan family.
Not only that, I heard that such a person, even though it was a dog eater, if they chant the holy name, they can perform Vedic sacrifices. So one must be intelligent enough to understand the purpose of the Vedas without being attached to the rituals only. And one must not desire to be elevated to the heavenly kingdoms for a better quality of sense gratification. It's not possible for the common man in this age to follow all the rules and regulations of Vedic rituals, nor is it possible to study all of the Vedanta and the Upanishads thoroughly. It requires time, energy, knowledge, and resources to execute the purposes of the Vedas. This is hardly possible in this age. The best purpose of Vedic culture is served, however, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, as recommended by Lord Chaitanya, the deliverer of all fallen souls. When Lord Chaitanya was asked by a great Vedic scholar, Prakashananda Saraswati, why he, the Lord, was chanting the holy name of the Lord like a sentimentalist instead of studying the Vedanta philosophy, the Lord replied that his spiritual master had found him to be a great fool and thus asked him to chant the holy name of Lord Krishna. He did so and became ecstatic like a madman. In this age of Kali, most of the population is foolish and not adequately educated to understand Vedanta philosophy. The best purpose of Vedanta philosophy is served by inoffensively chanting the holy name of the Lord. Vedanta is the last word in Vedic wisdom, and the author and knower of the Vedanta philosophy is Lord Krishna, and the highest Vedantist is the great soul who takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is the ultimate purpose of all Vedic mysticism. Go ahead and read the Sanskrit 47.
I had a question. So with
Sure.
this actual verse, and maybe I'm just focusing on the structure and the kind of juxtaposition of ideas here, but it has like the small well can be served by the great reservoir, same purpose by the great reservoir of water. But then in the next, it has like the purpose of the Vedas served by one who knows the purpose behind them. Is this kind of making the claim that a person who knows the purpose behind the Vedas is actually like greater than the Vedas itself, like a reservoir of water being greater than a well?
Well, the Vedas are meant to be received from a person who, just like in the 4th chapter, it says, try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. When there's a person Bhagavat, and then there's the Bhagavat itself. And the person who is surrendered to the Bhagavat, who knows the purpose of the Bhagavat, he can impart knowledge or the Bhagavatam to anyone who inquires submissively and is ready to hear and act on that transcendental message. So it's just like the analogy of the reservoir of water. I was just reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya appeared in Gaudiya, and he's like a cloud, and he was pouring his nectarian, personality and pastimes and instructions to all the people of Bengal. The people of Bengal were just burning up in a desert of materialism, and he poured water on them and revived them just like plants. So it's kind of like that. Do you have anything to add to that, Maitreya?
No, I remember reading this verse and because it looks like it's constructing an analogy. So if you have an analogy of a small well, and it's pretty easy to understand that if you have a big reservoir of water, it's got a lot more water than the small well, so that the great reservoir can serve all the purposes that the well can serve. Okay, so that's pretty clear. But then similarly, so now we're making an analogy to the purposes of the Vedas and how they can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So, right. So then I like the Maitreya is trying to understand how the first analogy relates to the second analogy. And it's like when we sing in the first verse of the Gurvastika prayers, or the Mangalartik, right. Samsara dava nalalita loka. The spiritual master is compared to the cloud. Samsara dava nalalita loka tranaya karunya ganaganatvam. Well, where is he getting the water from? Praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya. He's getting it from the ocean of qualities, who is Krishna. So the Vedas are trying to, there's a purpose for the Vedas, and the purpose, the one who knows the purpose behind the Vedas is actually more than the Vedas. That's right. The person Bhagavat is greater than the Bhagavatam, in the sense that for the fallen souls, the Bhagavatam doesn't do anything. Unless you have a pure soul who's relating the Bhagavatam to you, you're just out of luck. The
Yeah,
Bhagavatam sits there on the shelf and it's not doing anything unless you serve a devotee and you receive the message from a devotee. So the devotee then actually acts in a position of, Prabhupada says this many times in his purports, that the devotee is more merciful than the Lord himself.
yeah,
Krishna is giving the Bhagavad-gītā, but he's saying first you have to surrender. And he's also cautioning us in the Bhagavad-gītā not to disturb the minds of those who are not devotees, because, but Prabhupada says that devotees aren't afraid to disturb their minds anyway, because they understand how important devotional service is.
right. You always have to be careful, but you try to engage them in some kind of service so that they'll become attracted, just like Adi Purusha in New York, he engages people in serving out prasadam, and everybody likes to be philanthropic. But it's actually a fact that the devotees of Krishna are actually more than the Vedas itself, and actually even better than Krishna himself, because no one has access. The only way that people on this earth can have access to Krishna is to approach a spiritual master. So that's why Lord Shiva told his wife, the best kind of worship is worship of Vishnu. But better than that is Tadiya, the devotees of Vishnu. That is the best, absolute best. So Krishna told Arjuna, I can't remember what, it might have been in one of the Puranas. He said, one who claims to be my devotee is not my devotee, but one who claims to be a devotee of my devotee, he's my devotee. So that's how dear the devotees are to Krishna. And so, but we have to earn that by becoming that via medium. The via medium of the spiritual master is the way that the conditioned souls can approach Krishna. And so we have to, that's actually service. Service means becoming that great reservoir of water through which the Vedas can flow. So, by explaining the Bhagavad-gītā to others, Krishna becomes very much indebted, because you're doing the same thing that Krishna did himself with Arjuna. It says Arjuna is like the calf, and the cream is the the Vedas. And so we're meant to be the distributor of that cream of Vedic knowledge. And Krishna says that one who explains this to my devotees, not to non-devotees, but to the devotees, there's no one that is more dear to him than me, than him. And so that's quite an astounding position and it's a great responsibility to act according to Krishna's desire and be, Lord Chaitanya has told everyone, what was that verse in Bengali, Yardeki Tarakaha Krishnupadesh, Amargana Guruhana Tar Edesh, which means, I guess that's the verse, just everyone should be guru and try to deliver, the instructions of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gītā to everyone, and be guru and liberate everyone in this land. So that's the order of Lord Chaitanya. So that's the definition of devotional service, means that we're executing the mission of Guru and Krishna. What did Prabhupada come here to do? To America. He came to liberate on the order of his spiritual master, who's getting the order from his spiritual master all the way back to Lord Chaitanya. Bhaktisiddhanta's father had this vision too, to liberate the Western world. And so because Prabhupada took that seriously, and he sacrificed everything at such an elderly age and tried to execute the order of his spiritual master, only that. He said, I'm just trying to please my spiritual master and by executing his order. If I have any credit at all, it's only that I've tried to execute the order of my spiritual master. So the spiritual master's order is life and soul of the devotee. And if you do that, then that is actually service. And whatever you do goes into your eternal bank account. So that should be the only meditation of the devotee, just to follow the instructions and execute the mission of the spiritual master by delivering the Vedas, which are like unlimited, but we can also bit by bit relate these messages to the souls on the earth and actually help them become devotees. And even if you're a neophyte, you can actually do that. If you have faith that Krishna is the Lord and you just surrender to him and do what he wants you to do, then you can actually help people come to Krishna. And that's what Krishna wants.
Great question.
Yeah, that's a good
amount of stuff.
question. It's very illuminating. Who's next? We read that whole purport, right?
Yeah, you finished it off.
Okay. Mike, you can read the
Sure.
Sanskrit then.
Text 47. Karmani evad hikaraste ma phaleshu karachana ma karma phala hetorbur mate sangostva arkamani. Synonyms. Karmani, in prescribed duties. Eva, certainly. Adhikara, right. Te, of you. Ma, never. Phaleshu, in the fruits. Karachana, at any time. Ma, never. Karma phala, in the result of work. Hetu, cause. Bu, become. Ma, never. Te, of you. Sangha, attachment. Astu, there should be. Akarmani, in not doing prescribed duties. Translation. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty.
Gotta go. My horse got out. See you in a bit.
Your horse got out?
That's
Okay.
That's what he said.
He lives on a farm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope everything's okay. Translation. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty.
Purport. There are three considerations here: prescribed duties, capricious work, and inaction. Prescribed duties are activities enjoined in terms of one's acquired modes of material nature. Capricious work means actions without the sanction of authority, and inaction means not prescribing one's prescribed duties, not performing one's prescribed duties. The Lord advised Arjuna not to be inactive, but did he perform his prescribed duty without being attached to the result? One who is attached to the result of his work is also the cause of action. Thus, he is the enjoyer or sufferer of the results of such actions. I think my biggest fault is like not doing my duty, and I don't very much anymore do capricious work, means without the sanction. I try to, when I do try to, engage in Krishna consciousness, which is not all the time, sometimes I'm spacing out. I try to understand what the will of Krishna is, and then that is sanctioned with authority. If you're actually surrendering to Krishna and churning the instructions of the spiritual master within your mind and acting on that at every moment, then you're performing your prescribed duty. Prescribed means from someone else. Someone else is telling you what to do. It's like a military discipline, actually. And if you know what Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad-gītā, if you know that Krishna is in his holy name, and you act on that basis and live in this world according to time and circumstance to try to execute that mission, then you're performing a prescribed duty. And inactivity is also not good, because then you're just, that's my problem. I think my biggest problem is just being inactive, and the Bhagavad-gītā really deals with that problem of being lazy and not prescribing, not doing any kind of, because an idle mind is the devil's workshop. You're always going to start thinking about something else as soon as you stop thinking about Krishna. And so that's therefore Prabhupada always prayed to Krishna, my dear Lord, please do not let me fall into Maya, because as soon as you are not praying like that, then you will fall into Maya. And I heard one devotee say that Maya is just, following you. She's following you around the corner. She's not only following you behind you, but she's also halfway around the block. She's like way ahead of you. And as soon as you're inattentive, you become vulnerable to losing control of your mind. And so we just have to be always engaged in our prescribed duty. Go ahead and read the second paragraph.
As far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into 3 subdivisions, namely routine work, emergency work, and desired activities. Routine work performed as an obligation in terms of the scriptural injunctions without desire for results is action in the mode of goodness. Work with results becomes the cause of bondage. Therefore, such work is not auspicious. Everyone has his proprietary right in regard to prescribed duties, but should act without attachment to the result. Such disinterested obligatory duties doubtlessly leads one to the path of liberation.
Yeah, the acting according to duty is said to be action in the mode of goodness. But if you're actually, if you do your duty according to Krishna's sanction and Krishna's will, then you actually transcend the mode of goodness. In other words, you may be like working for your family or obligations. That is a matter of duty. But if you're acting in accordance with Krishna's will, in other words, you're doing everything with work, you're pushing the button at the factory and thinking, I'm pushing this button because Krishna wants me to push the button. And therefore, I'm acting exactly the way he wants me to do with every single circumstance, with every single person. If I'm washing the dishes, if I'm cleaning the floor, if I'm doing anything, it means that I'm acting in responsibility in response to Krishna's will. So therefore, it's not just the mode of goodness, it's actually transcendental. One may look like an ordinary person if one is doing all these things, but if you're doing them for Krishna, then you're actually not in the material world anymore. You're transcendental to the material world, even though you're acting just like an ordinary man. A devotee is not an ordinary man. Let's see here. I just read the last paragraph, right? Or no?
You can read it, it doesn't matter. Arjuna was therefore advised by the Lord to fight as a matter of duty without attachment to the result. His non-participation in the battle is another side of attachment. Such attachment never leads one on to the path of salvation. Any attachment, positive or negative, is cause for bondage. Inaction is sinful. Therefore, fighting as a matter of duty was the only auspicious path of salvation for Arjuna.
Okay, we got 1 or 2 minutes left here. We just discuss this verse here. Why do you think it's a cause of bondage to be attached to one's work?
Sure. I can think of a couple of reasons. One, when you get attached to it, there's the whole consideration that, you're getting the rewards from it. You want to use the rewards, you want to enjoy it. And then going along with that comes the idea then that you're actually the doer of what you're doing. When you feel entitled to the rewards, you feel like you're the one that did it. The natural qualities that were given to you all of a sudden become a source of pride. So that's how I would see that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Bible. You said you have so many good qualities. Somebody's thinking he has good qualities, but actually the Bible says all your good qualities are like filthy rags, because you're not really, nobody has any good qualities unless they surrender to Krishna, so because you're hovering on the mental platform, therefore you're covered, you're acting in ignorance and illusion. So the only good qualities is when you're actually acting in a dynamic way in relationship and response to Krishna's will. So we're going to have to leave it here. Thank you very much. I hope Maitreya rescued his horse. I'll talk to you later, Mike. See you on Friday, hopefully.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.